Good morning, students. In my previous lectures, we have studied about the types of cells, the types of organisms on the basis of number of cells. We have also studied about a cell theory, what are its various postulates, and scientists who gave this theory. In today's lecture, we are going to study more about a cell and the various cell organelles. So the topic for today is an overview of a cell. So students, I want to tell you, if we want to see the cells in laboratory, for example, if we want to see the plant cells. So for study of the plant cells, we always take onion peel as the material. And we take the peel on the slide and later we put some safranin stain over it and view it under the microscope. What we observe, there are different type of cells and all of these cells, they have an outer covering which is tough and rigid, and this is known as the cell wall. And next to the cell wall, a selectively permeable plasma membrane is there. And I have already told you, inside the plasma membrane, the ground matrix of the cell is present, which is known as the cytoplasm. We must remember this cytoplasm is actually the place where all type of biochemical reaction takes place in the body of the cell. So here I am going to tell you, if we want to study animal cells in lab, so for this purpose we should take human cheek cells, and when we mesh these human cheek cells, we beat these human cheek cells, we saw different type of cells where the outermost covering is of plasma membrane. So here the plasma membrane is present both in the plant cells as well as the animal cells. So I'm going to tell you more about prokaryotic cells. I have already discussed as the prokaryotic cells. They do not have a well-defined nucleus and membrane-bound organelles are also absent in it. Whereas in the eukaryotic cell, both a well-defined nucleus and membrane-bound organelles are present. So there is one organelle which are known as ribosomes. These are the non-membrane-bound organelles. And these organelles are present both in prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cells. In the eukaryotic cells, all type of cell organelles are there. These may be mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, and centrioles are also there. Centrioles are present in the animal cell, whereas they are not present in the plant cells. So here in case of plant cell, cell wall is there, and that cell wall is not present in case of animal cell. So there are some of the differences between the plant cells and animal cells. For example, larger vacuoles are there in the plant cells, whereas such vacuoles are not present in case of animal cells, and we know the reason very well, that these animals are heterotrophic in nature, so though they do not require vacuole for the storage. So here the vacuoles, you can say, may be smaller in size, or sometimes they may be absent, whereas larger vacuoles are present in case of plant cells. And here I want to tell you more about the shape of the cells. So cells, they also vary according to their shape, size, and their activities. So if we are talking about the size of the cell, so mycoplasma are the organisms which have very small cells, and the dimensions of their cells is 0.3 micrometer. And if we are talking about the largest type of cell, then the egg of the ostrich is the largest cell. So human red blood cells, which are known as erythrocytes, they have the dimension 7.0 micrometers. And in human body, the largest cells are actually the nerve cells, or you can say neurons. These are the basic unit of these nerve fibers or nerve cells. So now I'm going to tell you detail about the prokaryotic cell, as there are so many examples of prokaryotic cell: bacteria, PPLO, that is pleuropneumonia-like organisms, cyanobacteria, which are also known as blue-green algae, and mycoplasmas are also there. As the cells, they are smaller in size, so their rate of multiplication is very fast. So all of these organisms, they multiply very fast. And also, most of these organisms, they have RNA as the genetic material because they are the primitive one. So their lifespan is short because of the lesser stability of this RNA, which act as the genetic material in these cells. And later on, we have already discussed in chapter 2 biological classification that on the basis of their shapes, we have divided these bacteria into 4 categories: Bacillus, Coccus, then we have Vibrio bacteria and Spirillum bacteria. We also know about their shapes, that these Bacillus bacteria are rod-like, Coccus bacteria, they are spherical in shape, Vibrio bacteria, they are common shape, and Spirillum bacteria, they are spiral in shape. And here I am going to tell you more about the types of organelles that are unique to the prokaryotic organisms. So here, if we are taking the example of a typical bacterial cell, which is actually a kind of a prokaryotic cell. So here in this, the cell wall is present. We generally use one term in case of bacterial cell, and that is the cell envelope. So this cell envelope, it consists of 3 layers. The outermost layer is known as glycocalyx. And next to the glycocalyx, the cell wall is present. Next to the cell wall, the cell membrane is there. So all of the 3, they constitute the cell envelope. So the outermost layer, which I have called glycocalyx, is sometimes very rigid and tough in nature. And this glycocalyx, in that case, is known as capsule. But sometimes it is having a thin appearance. In that case, they called it as the slime layer. So inside the bacterial cell, see in the next slide, this is a diagram of the typical bacterial cell. So inside the bacterial cell, what you will observe, the ground substance is there inside the plasma membrane, and that is cytoplasm. Inside the cytoplasm, so many non-membrane bound organelles are there, which are known as the ribosomes. And the nuclear material is freely suspended in the cytoplasm, but it is not scattered. The reason behind this is that this DNA molecule is actually negatively charged and it is surrounded by positively charged proteins. Because of this, the genetic material, it is accumulated in a particular region, and that is known as nucleoid. And here in this diagram, there are special type of hair-like structures that are visible on the surface of the cell envelope. It may either arise from the glycocalyx or from the innermost plasma membrane. These are known as villi. I want to tell you a very special type of organelles which are there in the cytoplasm of the bacterial cell, and that is plasmid. So these plasmids are actually the circular DNA which are generally present in the cytoplasm, and this type of DNAs, they are different from the genomic DNA. That is the DNA which is present in the nuclear material. So these DNAs, which are known as plasmids, they offer some specific type of phenotypic properties to the bacteria because of the presence of these plasmids, which are actually the extra nuclear DNA or the DNA that are present in the cytoplasm. The bacteria, they shows antibiotic resistant properties. And you will also going to study in your higher classes that these plasmids sometimes act as vector for the transport of foreign DNAs into the host organism in a special type of technique or process which is known as genetic engineering or recombinant DNA technology. So here there is one special name visible to you, and that is nucleoid. So what is this nucleoid? This nucleoid is actually the region where the DNA of the bacterium, it is associated with the proteins. So these bacteria, they also have special type of extensions of the plasma membrane present in them. Sometimes what happens, the plasma membrane, it gets modified and it forms different type of extensions which may be in the form of tubules, you can say, vesicles or lamellae. So these extensions of the plasma membrane, they are known as mesosomes. So these mesosomes, they are performing variety of functions. First function of this mesosome is the formation of the cell wall. They play an important role in the formation of cell wall. Besides this, they are also involved in the replication of DNA and its distribution to the daughter cells, and it also play an important role in respiration and secretion. So many enzymatic contents, they are also found on the mesosomes. and they are also involved in increasing the surface area of the plasma membrane. So these mesosomes, sometimes they have specific type of pigments present in them. And these specific pigments containing mesosomes, they are known as the chromatophores. So now I'm going to tell you the locomotory organs of these bacteria or prokaryotic cells. So here is visible the flagellum. So what is this flagella or flagellum? These are the special type of locomotory organs that are present in the prokaryotic cells. I'm going to tell you about the structure of the flagella. So these flagella, from where they originate, at that basal position, they have their mother cells, and their mother cells, they are known as the basal bodies. So the mother cells or basal bodies, they contains 9 tube-like circular bodies present inside, and these are actually the mother cells. So here in case of flagellum, or you can say cilia, 9+2 arrangement of these circular bodies are there in the basal bodies. These are actually the tubules. We will study about this in later. So the flagella, it has a filament-like structure, and that filament-like structure is the stalk-like structure which arises from the basal bodies. And this filament, at the tip, it gets bent and form a hook-like structure. So in the flagella, 3 things are there. At the basal position, the mother cell or basal body is there. And then there is a stalk-like structure which arises from the basal body, and that is known as the filament. And the tip of the filament, which is slightly bent, it is known as the hook. In the last, I want to tell you that there are special hair-like structures which are pili or the fimbriae. So these pili and fimbriae, what about these? So these are the very special type of structures, and these structures, they act as adhesive for the bacteria when this bacteria want to join itself with some host organism or to some substratum. The substratum may be a soil, or it may be a rocky surface. So with the help of these pili-like structure or fimbriae-like structures, they attaches themselves with the substratum. Some scientists, they also thought that the virulent properties of the bacteria is because of the presence of these pili or fimbriae-like structures. So these pili, they also act as infectious agents in these bacteria. Okay, student, we have well familiar about the diagram of the plant cell. So here so many cell organelles are present, as it is the example of the eukaryotic cell. I want to tell you some major characteristics that are only found in the plant cell. Number 1, in case of plant cell, see in the diagram, larger vacuoles are present. So these larger vacuoles are there in the plant cell because they are autotrophic in nature, and they have to store the photosynthase, which are the products of photosynthesis. And beside this plant cell, they have a rigid and tough outer boundary, and that is known as the cell wall. So this cell wall, it provides a characteristic shape to these plant cells, and it do not allow any kind of unwanted things to enter into the cell. It acts as a protective agent, and to also maintain the continuity of one cell with the another cell by having special type of connections which are present between the cell wall and the middle lamellae, and that is the plasmodesmatal connections. Okay, student, beside this, these plant cells have green organelles which are known as the plastels. So these plastels, the chief among these are the chloroplast, and they have green color pigment known as chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll is very much required for the process of photosynthesis. So plastels are also there, larger vacuoles are there, then cell wall is there. And centrioles are not present in the plant cell. It is unique to the animal cells. Other cell organelles that are somewhat similar to the animal cell. Okay, see the diagram of the animal cell. So here we have so many cell organelles that are also found in the plant cell as well. Nucleus is there, nucleolus is there, ribosomes, then cytoplasm, the ground substance. What is the main thing here? The cell wall is absent. Instead of cell wall, cell membrane is there. All right, vacuoles, they are almost negligible or sometimes absent. And here special type of organelles are present which are known as the centrosome. See the centrosome, it have cart-wheel like structure. So these centrosome, they later divide and they form the centroids. And from these centroids, the spindle fibers, they arises. And on these spindle fibers, the chromosomes, they attach themselves during the process of cell division. So that is the main thing regarding the animal cells. So here plastids are also absent because these animals are generally heterotrophic and they depend upon plants for obtaining them. Okay, beta, this is the diagram of a eukaryotic cell. So here in eukaryotic cell, we have all the important type of organelles. Here membrane bound organelles are there, and the nucleus, it also contains the nuclear membrane. So well-defined nucleus is present in the center, and cytoplasm is the ground substance. And then endoplasmic reticulum, it has its continuity with the nuclear membrane. Then ribosomes are there, which are known as protein factory of the cell. Then nucleus is present. Nucleolus. What is this nucleolus? This nucleolus is the spherical bodies that are floating in the nucleoplasm. And here we have Golgi bodies, and these Golgi bodies, they act as the packaging organs for the eukaryotic cells. Then mitochondria is there, which is known as powerhouse of the cell, and chloroplast, a type of plastids, are also present in the eukaryotic cell. Okay, we are starting with our next topic, and that is cell envelope and its modification. So I have already discussed about this in case of bacterial cell, that if we study the structure of a typical bacterial cell, then the outermost boundary is quite thick and it is known as cell envelope. And this cell envelope, which is the outer covering, it has three basic layers. And these three basic layers are glycocalyx, cell wall, and cell membrane. So outermost among these is glycocalyx. I have already told you that this glycocalyx, sometimes it is very rich, rigid, and thick. Then it is known as the capsule. And sometimes it has a thinner appearance than it is known as slime layer. So next to the glycocalyx, we have the cell wall and then the cell membrane. Again, the cell membrane is selectively permeable in nature, as we know about it. And here in bacterial cell, the mesosomes, they are present. What are these mesosomes? They are the extensions of the plasma membrane, maybe in the form of a lamellae or in the form of a tubules. Ribosomes are there. So here in case of prokaryotic cell, I want to tell you that ribosomes, they are 70s ribosomes are present, having two subunits. I will tell you about these ribosomes in detail later on. And here nuclear material, that is DNA, is present in a characteristic region which is known as nucleoid. This is the nucleoid. So plasma membrane and then cell wall and then capsule. This is all about the cell envelope. Now I'm going to tell you, this is the diagram of a typical bacterial cell. This is a large view. So see the capsule. Capsule is the thicker, or you can say a rigid layer of the glycocalyx. Then cell wall is there and plasma membrane. And the genetic material, it is accumulated in a region known as nucleoid. Cytoplasm is there. Then large flagella is there. Flagella may have its position at anterior region, posterior region, or at the lateral position. Numerous hair-like structures are visible over the surface, and that are known as pillars, or you can say pilli. And these non-membrane bound organelles are known as ribosomes. So see the structure of the flagella here. At the base, the mother cell basal bodies are present. Then this stalk-like structure is known as the filament, and the tip is slightly bent, and it is known as the hook. Okay, we are going to study about detail. And here the organelles which we are going to study here is ribosomes. So what are these ribosomes? These ribosomes are popularly known as the protein factory of the cell. So these ribosomes, they may be present in both prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cell. They may be freely suspended in the cytoplasm, or sometimes they are found to attach with the rough endoplasmic reticulum. And here in case of rough endoplasmic reticulum, they are involved in the process of protein synthesis. So these ribosomes, they may also be present in two other organelles, and these are the mitochondria and the chloroplast. So these ribosomes, in case of a prokaryotic organisms, these ribosomes are 70S. Here S stands for Swede work. which is the unit of the sedimentation coefficient. When we do centrifugation, we separate these ribosomes on the basis of its density. And here we found two smaller and larger. Here we found one smaller and one larger subunit of ribosome. So here in case of prokaryotes, the smaller subunit is of 30S and larger subunit is of 50S. But in case of eukaryotes, the ribosomes, they are 80S, and here the larger subunit is of 60S and smaller subunit is of 40S. So sometimes instead of ribosome, we can use the term polysomes or polyribosomes. So what are these ribosomes? Sometimes on the messenger RNA stand, so many ribosomes, they are present in a repetitive manner. So this chain of ribosomes which is present on the messenger RNA, it is known as the polyribosomes or polysomes. So all of these are involved in the process of protein synthesis only. So next to the ribosomes, before I start the inclusion bodies, I want to tell more about these ribosomes. So see in the diagram, this is the smaller subunit of the ribosome, and this smaller subunit, its function is actually to hold the messenger RNA. And the larger subunit of the ribosome, it do two kind of functions. One is it supply transfer RNA, and this transfer RNA, they comes in contact with messenger RNA. They read the codon that is present in the messenger RNA and attaches the corresponding amino acids on the other end of it. That is, transfer RNA has how many ends? One end that is in contact with messenger RNA, and other end that is a little bit far away. So with the help of its first end, what it do? It read the codons that are present on the messenger RNA, and on its other end, it attaches the corresponding amino acids. So in this way, transfer RNA, they are supplied by these ribosomes. And beside transfer RNA, whatever proteins are synthesized, they are later stored in the ribosomes. That's why these ribosomes, they are known as the protein factory of the cell. Okay, the next type of cell organelles, which is mostly found in case of prokaryotic organisms, are the inclusion bodies. And these inclusion bodies are actually the spherical bodies that are generally found floating in the cytoplasm. And what kind of things they store? According to them, we named these inclusion bodies. Sometimes they store phosphate ions in them. Then they are known as phosphate granules. Sometimes they have gas molecules. They are known as gas vacuoles. Sometimes they have green color pigments. So these are found in photosynthetic bacteria, such type of green color pigment containing inclusion bodies. And beside these, they also store certain pigments, blue-green pigments in case of cyanobacteria. They are called cyanophysium granules, and once more is glycogen granules when they store glycogen. So these inclusion bodies are actually the spherical bodies that are rotating, or you can say circulating in the cytoplasm of the prokaryotic cell. Okay, students. Next, we are going to study about the cell membrane. The term cell membrane is actually used for the plasma membrane. As we know that plasma membrane, it is found both in prokaryote as well as eukaryotic cells. And what is the main thing about this plasma membrane? That this plasma membrane is always selectively permeable in nature. That means it always allows the entry of certain specific ions from the outside environment to the inner, or you can say internal environment of the cell. And sometimes certain substances from the inner side of the cell, it also goes outside through this plasma membrane. So today we are going to tell you about the special structure of this plasma membrane. So see the diagram, this plasma membrane, it generally have two major components. One is proteins and second is the lipid bilayer. So here a lipid bilayer is present, which generally constitute the plasma membrane. And in this lipid bilayer, actually what kind of lipids are these? So these are the phospholipids. These are phospholipids. So there is a lipid bilayer which constitutes the plasma membrane, and it has two components, the polar heads that have their faces outside, and inside the plasma membrane, the hydrophobic tail is present. So these polar heads, they are hydrophilic in nature, whereas the tail component that is hydrophobic in nature. And because of this plasma membrane, it do not allow the entry of the polar substances or water-like substances directly through it. So these water-like substances, as it is very much essential for the cell, so how these water molecules they enter. So they enter through a very special process which is known as facilitated diffusion. I will tell you in detail about facilitated diffusion later on. But before this, I want to tell you, beside the lipid bilayer, as proteins are also present, so there are some of the proteins which are present at the periphery, and they are known as the peripheral proteins. And beside peripheral proteins, there are certain proteins which are present inside the membrane of the, you can say, lipid bilayer, and that are known as the integral proteins. So two type of proteins are there: peripheral proteins, which are present on the surface, and integral proteins, which are present inside the membrane. And here so many other type of molecules are visible to you. So carbohydrates are also there, and beside carbohydrates we have different type of cholesterol. So see here, integral proteins are there, and channel like proteins are there. Why they are known as channel, that I will tell you. Peripheral proteins, see the location of the peripheral proteins, globular proteins. So here carbohydrates, they are also present, I have told you, and proteins, lipids and carbohydrates, they are the major constituents of the plasma membrane. Okay students, the structure of the plasma membrane was first given by two scientists in the year 1972, and their name was Singer and Nicholson. Singer and Nicholson, they gave a model of the plasma membrane which is well accepted by other scientists too, and that is known as the fluid mosaic model of the plasma membrane. So according to this, the quasi-fluid nature of the lipid, it enables the lateral movements of the proteins within the overall bilayer. What they said, that the lipids, they have a quasi-fluid nature and they allow the lateral movement of the proteins through them. And because of these, certain substances, they can enter easily through the plasma membrane. And this ability to move within the plasma membrane is known as fluidity. Now, I want to tell you that how the transport of various substances, it takes place through the plasma membrane. And as I have already discussed, that this plasma membrane is selectively permeable in nature. So there are certain substances which can easily enter through the plasma membrane without any kind of restrictions with the process of simple diffusion. That is from the movement of the molecules from high concentration to low concentration. So here energy requirement is not there. But sometimes there are certain molecules which are polar in nature, having water-like properties. So as we know, this plasma membrane, it consists of a lipid bilayer and which has hydrophobic tails. So this do not allow these hydrophilic substances to enter through them. So these water-like properties kind of substances, they enter into the inner environment of the cell with the help of special type of proteins which are present on the surface, and these proteins, they actually act as a channel. That's why they are known as channel-like proteins. And these proteins, they capture these polar substances and they easily pass through the plasma membrane because of its quasi-fluid nature, and in this way they helps in the entry of the polar substances or water molecules into the cellular environment. So this type of transport is actually known as the facilitated kind of diffuse. Besides the first kind of transport, where the molecules, they easily enter into the plasma membrane from high to low concentration, that is simply called as passive diffusion or passive transport. And where facilitated proteins are involved, channel-like proteins are involved, which helps in the transport of water molecules, that is known as facilitated diffusion. So here a little bit amount of energy is required also, and very less, you can say, negligible. All right. So third is known as active transport. So here in case of active transport, as This kind of transport is always against the concentration gradient. So here molecules, they are picked up from low concentration to high concentration. And so this process, it requires large amount of energy. That's why it is also known as active transport. The another name for this active transport is sodium potassium pump. So this sodium potassium pump is actually responsible for the picking of certain energy rich molecules or components which are very much required by the cells, and their picking is essential for the cells for certain important activities. So in that case, the process of active transport is working. So here we have studied about three types of transport. Number one, passive transport, where the energy requirement is always negligible. And second is the facilitated transport, where special type of channel proteins are involved and they helps in the process of transport. And the third one is the active transport, where large amount of energy is required and the process takes place against the concentration gradient, that is from low concentration to high concentration. So that's why energy is required. The process is called active transport. So after the cell membrane, we will study about cell wall and certain important cell organelles. But in today's lecture, that's all. We have to revise the chapter, read the chapter carefully. And that's all in today's lecture. Have a